And we are back to wrap up this episode of LDN ONT TV. And when a much younger me first arrived in London, the mayor and the council of the day were defending themselves at the Ontario Human Rights Tribunal for refusing to declare Gay Pride Week in the city. Not to mention Project Guardian, the witch hunt of the gay community, led by then Police Chief Julian Fantino, was still an open wound. The message was clear: stay in the closet. We don't want your kind here, and we'd really prefer it if you left. It was a message embraced by Londoners, too, who re-elected that mayor, even though she quit campaigning during the campaign in protest after the Human Rights Tribunal fined her and the council for discrimination. But I didn't leave. In fact, bit by bit, as I found my courage and my voice, I started working behind the scenes to do what I could to make sure things would get better. And slowly but surely, they did. If I fast forward to 2007, I find myself with Pride Festival presidents Chris D'Aguilar and Eugene Dustin as they delivered the first Pride flag that would officially fly at City Hall. And later I'd get the privilege of standing up in their wedding and watching Chris and Jean become happily married. For the first time ever in 2011, which really isn't that long ago, Joe Fontana became the first sitting mayor to participate in the Pride Parade, and Police Chief Brad Duncan was there right alongside him. Now here we are in 2018, and current Mayor Matt Brown has issued an apology for the actions of that past mayor and council, which for over 20 years have haunted folks in the LGBT community. Finally, exorcising those ghosts was a welcome move, and I, along with many others, have thanked the mayor both publicly and personally for this important step. We've come a long way, London. We are definitely a more welcoming and inclusive city today. So last week, when the Thames Valley District School Board and the London Catholic School Board took a huge step backwards, pulling the funding from the high school production of Prom Queen, the story of Mark Hall's fight to take his boyfriend to prom at the Grand Theatre, I couldn't have been prouder to be a Londoner. I was inspired when Londoners stood up and put their money where their mouths were and said, the show must go on. Not only did the community fill the funding gap, its reaction forced at least the public school board into a full-blown retreat, forcing an apology and the restoring of the funding from the public board. The Catholic board sadly only dug itself in further, demonstrating once again why we shouldn't even have a Catholic school board, but that's a whole nother show. So, are we done now? Actually, not yet. See, the mayor's apology was a great start, but it wasn't just the mayor back in 1995, but the council of the day, including Bill Armstrong, who is still sitting on council today, who voted against the gay community back then. When you hurt someone and say, I'm sorry, you have to do it right. You have to mean it. So I've submitted a motion to council asking them to fix this, to both confirm the mayor's apology and extend it on behalf of council. And that'll go to full council for a vote next week. Now, I'm a political animal. That's my contribution, and it's just a really small one. Richard Hudler, Chris and Eugene Dustin, Martin Withenshaw, Andrew Rosser, Holly Painter, and Annalise Trudell. Those are just a few of the names who've done a whole lot more. Not to mention all the strong allies along the way. People like Cheryl Miller, Irene Matheson, Megan Walker, and now, of course, we can add David Bilson to that list. And it would be wonderful if that finally closed the book on a bigoted chapter in London's history. But it doesn't. In fact, in the last week, I've been called depraved, sick, and a whole lot of other words I can't even use on TV. That's fine. I have a thick skin. But when LGBT teens are still 4 times as likely to try and commit suicide as their straight peers, we've still got a lot of work to do. Look, kids, it does get better. I can say that. I've lived it. And in our London, regardless of sexual orientation or gender identity, you matter. Thanks as always to the amazing crew here at Rogers TV London. My guest